All right, good morning, everybody. I clicked the button. Everybody's starting to show up. This is fantastic. We're going to do another Retevis Repair live stream. These are the HTs, and the reason I'm doing these all as a live stream is because there wasn't a whole lot of interest in these on the for sale list. So just going to jam them out, stick them up on eBay, and move on. If you want them before eBay, let me know. There is some information down in the description. If you want one that isn't repaired, actually, I have a secret. There might be some that aren't repaired that don't even need repair, that aren't even opened. That's what I was trying to say. Some brand new, non-opened radios. So if you're interested, send me a message on the Discord, send me an email, drop a link in the chat. I may or may not see the chat. So if I don't respond to you in the chat, it's because I didn't see it. So get my attention somehow is what I'm trying to say. Let's turn on the overhead and jump right in. If I can find the overhead. See, it always does this. Thank you, Restream. Look at that. There we go. So this is what I was saying. I've got some new, unopened, sealed units. So I'm going to leave these sealed, but I have a sneaking suspicion. I kind of think I know why these things. Is this any better? A little bit better, but man, that's tiny. Can I put that up there? Nope. Anyway, I think I know why these guys might have been repaired. So this is number 2 that is in a unopened container. So we're going to leave them and see what goes on that way. But then I've got 3 here for us to take a look at. And I was saying, I think I know. Just send the bill to Jim. All right, 4-5, will do. As soon as he pays it, it will show up in the mail. It'll start to happen. So I'm going to do 1. These guys came, mine when it came to me, came region locked. So it would not transmit on 146.5.2. So as a result of that, I'm sure that a lot of people just went, nope, and returned it. 3, 2. Yes, I'm doing it twice because I found out that they don't all have the license plate number on it. This license plate number is, I was saying this in the last stream, Amazon has no idea what this is. It's a nondescript box with a big, huge Amazon sticker on it in that case. And they don't all have that. And so they put this in. This is a barcode that their machines can read when they are scanning around the warehouse floor. And okay, I put 2 on that one twice, and that's not 2. That's 1. And they'll be able to figure out what it is. So the computer says, go get me LPN RRIY018. And this is some indication of what rack and shelf it's on and where in the warehouse it is and all other kinds of stuff like that. So that's the way license plate numbers work. LPNs, license plate number. Let's see what's in here. See, it still has the screen protector on it. The battery is attached. We've got an antenna. Put that on because we're going to test this thing on the air here. We've got some nice foam. I mean, this is actually better than most of the packaging you see for most radios. Put that back up at the top. It actually belongs at the bottom, but it was funny. It was funny to me anyway. Programming cable. Charging base. This looks like earpiece parts. And little white stickers for no apparent reason. Good morning, Stoned Ham. Wake and bake, right? We have the Bluetooth earpiece. Ah, that's what that was. That was extra Bluetooth earpiece parts. I don't know if I'm going to test or how I'm going to test the Bluetooth earpiece. I might just list them as includes free Bluetooth earpiece. You know, if it doesn't work, don't complain. USB cable for charging. USB wall wart. What does it say? Output 5 volts, 1 amp, 5 watts. Okay. What I don't see in this box is a user manual, and this appears to have been put in upside down. So I'm going to put that in. Put that in, belt clip in, charging cable in. We'll probably need the programming cable. There we go. All right, does it work? Right out of the box, does it work? Let's see. It comes on. It comes on in frequency mode. Let's do. All right, 146.52. Frequency error. All right, so this is exactly what I thought was going to happen. So when I try to transmit, frequency error, it will not transmit. So we need to do powering down. Magic key press, menu 6, and turn on. And it says change PD. That means change password. So 65432 and now it gives us regions to choose from. And 144 to 146 transmit, 430 to 440 for IARU region 1. 144 to 148, 222 to 225, and 420 to 450 for region 2. And then region 3 is 144 to 148, 430 to 440. So technically we're in region 2, I believe. So 420 to 450, 222 to 225. Okay, and then I'm going to do menu to select that. And it reboots itself. Exactly. That's what an idiot would have on his luggage, that password. And a lot of times the password is really just that simple. The screen is already timed out. All right, so 146. All right, 146.520. My microphone has restarted, and it says it has unexpectedly stopped. Is it gone? Is it gone? No, it's still there. Okay, I don't know why it restarted. Interesting. Voice. Backlight. Auto, 5 seconds. Why are these things set to 5-second timeouts? That might be another reason why somebody would have returned this. Key beep, key lock, lock mode. Okay, so now we've got that set. I need to go in and do band A set. It's got GPS. I don't see any indication of a GPS lock yet, but power Vox, Vox level, wide, narrow, timeout timer. DMR mode, simplex, repeater, or double slot. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for TX mode. And I don't see it there. Channel mode. Channel frequency name. Okay. So when you're in channel mode, it will display the channel, the frequency, or the name. SD mode. I don't know what SD mode is. Simplex duplex. Scan mode. Save channel. That was a guess. I don't know if it's simplex and duplex. Because I don't have an owner's manual. Miss call menu. Yes, reach advertised battery life for normal people. I agree. Shutting the screen off. And to tell you the truth, you really only need to have that screen on when you're doing something. But if you're trying to program in the menu and you're trying to read the menu items and the screen times out while you're doing it, it becomes a pain. But right after that, you never need it ever again. Promiscuous. My radio is promiscuous. Yeah, I don't see any way. It's probably something very simple. Air satellite unlock. Meaning I don't have a satellite lock because I'm indoors. Not only am I indoors, I'm inside of a metal building. Good morning, Steve. All right, it has a lock. Scan. There we go. You hold down the exit button and it changes it into FM mode. So and my microphone restarted. This might have been why we were having trouble with the camera last time we were doing this. I'm using a USB external hub, and it might be having some trouble with it. Off camera, I have my ICOM 705, and I'm setting it onto 146.52 simplex on FM. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Yep. My mic is muted. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it muted itself when I bumped it, and then I went in to check it in the software, and it was receiving um, signal, but it was muted in the software. So even though it was receiving signal, you guys weren't hearing it. Somebody's asking what meter is. Looks like the antenna is about twice as big as before. It's the same. It's the same antenna that came with the radio. I just put the Shorecom SW102 meter on in order to do some testing. And we'll do that testing on the other radios as well. So I need to come in here and I need to program in my DMR ID. Somewhere in here, there's a night mode. Oh, it's now in dark mode instead of light mode. There was something in here for radio ID. There it is. I can't edit the radio ID directly on the radio? That stinks. Radio 123, so I can have more than one ID? Okay, so I can't edit it where I thought I could edit it. I can edit it here instead. All right, and I will name that radio 1, and then I will do a factory reset before I send this out the door so it's not my radio out in the wild. Okay, so I need to find my frequency on my hotspot, and that is 431.150. 431.150. And then where do I go to set the talk group? Can I set the talk group on here directly? Caribbean. Somebody put the Caribbean talk group in there. Private. So it looks like it's got. I'd have to look up on the interwebs to see how many contacts this thing has programmable into it. But I need to go in and program a contact. Let's manual dial. And what is it? 9990 for Parrot. So 2E0GIY. I think that's Theodore, right? These Chinese radios have a big issue. They were designed with loads of options, but user interface looks like web page from the early 90s. That is absolutely correct. Let me swap out real quick. So what happens with these radios is these things were meant for DMR business users, and there is a person whose full-time 40-hour-a-week job it is to do nothing but make sure that these radios work, handle the programming, do everything, and they get really good at it because it's their full-time job, and they should be good at it. Us hams, awesome as we are, went, oh, this is pretty cool. It's a radio that does digital transmissions, and we can go, tunnel through the internet and do all kinds of really cool stuff. Let's make it, adapt it to ham. And they just straight up lift and shift over to ham. They didn't lift it up and reconfigure the whole thing to make it really truly applicable to ham and then drop it onto the ham space. They just took business, made it ham. And so it's neat that it works, but it is more difficult than it needs to be. I'm praising them for doing a good job of the conversion, but at the end of the day, it's more of like, hey, we could do that, as opposed to this is a real product in my mind. And I think that we could do a little bit better. So, all right, I've got 9990 programmed in, and I've got let me share that out too. Screen share of that window. And I'm going to try and key up on the radio. And I'm not seeing it on the hotspot because it's still going to 1234, but the hotspot should still see it. 431.150. Menu. That's my ID. Yep. That's good. Cancel. And it's got the wrong talk group that it's going to, which shouldn't stop it from being heard by the hotspot, but my hotspot could also be acting the fool too. We refresh that. And it's taken a while to refresh. Hotspots are so much fun, aren't they? Cancel. Okay, I just did a radio check on Parrot. Target radio is unavailable. That is true. Still the wrong talk group on transmit. Still not being heard on the hotspot. There's 3 buttons on the side, and I've got a double PTT option. The portable ham. Welcome. I believe that's Dane, right? Haven't seen you in a while, bud. Still transmitting the wrong channel. I need to change something in my stream settings if I can. Hang on 1 second. Yeah. Okay. All right, back to trying to figure out why this thing won't transmit on the call group that I'm setting. Morning, Ted. Morning, Blue Boy. I'm trying to view the GPS of a remote radio, and I'm not getting it. So I'm going to restart the radio and see if that makes my call ID, my radio ID, take effect. Jeff, these radios, they were pretty exciting a while back, but they are transmit dirty, and they said the firmware was going to fix it, and the firmware didn't fix it, and they show up locked from the factory. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's got the right call ID in it. Looks like you can have 32 different users on this radio, 32 different IDs. There's no way to add contacts on the radio that I can see. And it's also not allowing me to do anything setting up the manual dial either. So we need to do some CPS stuff. Morning, Chris. All right, CPS stuff requires another computer. Achieved. It requires HDMI capture, which we now have as well. Requires a programming cable. And then I need to plug that into the radio. So now I need a screwdriver. And these things look like they are rugged and waterproof. A little rubber gasket on the door there. All right, let's get the computer set up. All right, that's the computer. Turn it on. There we go. And did that mess up my overhead when I did that? No, it did not. Good. All right. Yay, Windows. Okay. And then what I need now is I need to download the Retevis software. Morning, Bill. So we've got firmware with GPS. We've got regular firmware, firmware with GPS, firmware with GPS. So there's a new firmware update, 210.213. But I need the CPS, not the firmware. So is it going to be HD2 version 1.10? Let's try that. So that has downloaded. It's gone into my downloads folder. And this is the CPS indeed. So let's just run it straight from the zip file and see what happens. Living on the edge. Windows would like you to know that Retevis did not pay the extortion fee in order to get this software to not display this blue box. Please click Run anyway. Yes, installing software will make changes to my computer. Next, next, next. And launch it. Radio is needed. And we will plug this in. Let me bring up Device Manager so we can see what happens when we plug it in. Plugged in. And it just shows up, no problems. That's good. Which COM port is it? COM 9. 9N 2PN. Good morning. All right, so let's do device and read. And yes, I'd like to read. Input port number, of course. Because for some reason you have defaulted to COM 1, even though there isn't any other choice. You've chosen to make a choice that doesn't exist. Way to go. COM 9. Okay. Use your software, people. All right, now we're reading. But the radio was off, so that wasn't going to work. And now we're reading. I screwed up. That was my mistake. I tried to read from a radio that wasn't turned on. But a good programmer would handle that contingency much better. All right, now we're reading, I think. No, we are not reading. Let's turn that off. Let's cancel this. Let's close this out and get rid of it, and then start it back up again. That's the other one. That's the other one. Good morning, Chavez. All right, it still thinks it's on COM 9. Let's turn the radio on now.
Frequency mode.
And let's do read. Yes, I want to read. The radio thinks it's being read from. And it does not work. Okay. Well, that's another reason why somebody might return this radio. Let's switch back over to the overhead.
Frequency mode.
Radio rebooted itself. And let's check the firmware on here. We might have to update the firmware. So this is 207 with GPS. And there's two different ways to tell if you have GPS. Number one is if you have the GPS menu option, you have GPS. And then number two is underneath the battery, there's going to be the little GPS sticker over there.
Frequency mode.
Okay, let's try a firmware update instead. Okay, so now we need to go back to Retevis website. And the first one usually takes the longest to fix, and then the rest of them, what version did it say it was on? Did it say it was already? I thought it said version 2 something.
Frequency mode. Menu.
Version 207. So we're going to have to put version 213 on here. Let's go into the folder. Let's get rid of the web browser. And we've got a change log. Fix the problem when turn off the call in light. HD2 still turn on the screen when receiving a call in DMR. That makes sense. Fix the issue that the firmware was mistakenly identified as a virus. Okay, well, that makes sense too. Close out of that. I see no instructions on the website. I see no instructions here. There's only one file, so I'm going to just run it straight from. More info, run anyway. And it is ready to go. So COM 9, it doesn't tell me how to put the radio into DFU mode. Device firmware update mode. And let's see. I did a video on how to do this, and now I got to remember how to do it. Does it say anywhere how to do it? Programming software, manual, brochure. Nothing about firmware. PTT+SK1, then power on. So that would be that button. Let me switch this over. Thank you in the chat. So it is turned off. PTT1, the first side button, and then turn it on. Okay, and we get the red light on the top. It's not transmitting. There's no screen. So that means that we are in firmware update mode. Thank you very much, Lazo. Much appreciated. So now I feel a little bit more confident. Let me double check Device Manager to make sure COM 9 is the right COM port. Because, I mean, the last time it was the only choice available and it still didn't pick it. So it was possible that it would not have picked it this time. Let's hit connect. Let's get version. So the version on the radio is 207. Let's update it to 213. I'm waiting. Waiting. Okay, good. Now we're writing. All right. Anybody have any ham-related projects they're working on this morning? See if we can turn on some AI-generated background music, some ambient music. There we go. Sort of fill that silence up. Good things come to he who waits. That is true. But sometimes you got to take action. Just put up a long wire LAN 01S1I. Excellent. That's good. I have been wondering if you can put up a long wire with a 9-to-1, which still requires a tuner, or if you have a good enough tuner, can you put up a long wire without a 9-to-1 and just use the tuner without the 9-to-1 at all? Would it change the radiation pattern? Would it be more efficient, less efficient? Would it work or not work? Matt's doing an update on his own fork of Marlin on his 3D printer. Godspeed, Matt. Good luck and Godspeed. Boston Johnny's here, getting my iGate back up and running on the Anagata. Okay. HD1 had the same problem with the software not connecting using the correct port. If you get stuck, I may have a fix. Awesome, Chris. Crispin's working on the Apollo antenna. Excellent. Almost done the firmware update. It says update successful on the screen. Straight into the back of the radio, just a receiver at the moment because I have to sell my gear. Sorry to hear that. But at least you got a plan to get things taken care of. So I'm still in DFU mode on the radio. I'm going to connect and I'm going to get version. And now we're at 213. Excellent. So I'm going to disconnect, if that matters. A little bit of empathy goes a long way with these radios. Close that out. Turn the radio off. Switch you guys back to the overhead. And then we'll turn the radio on. And we'll do menu, version, 213 GPS. All right, so that has been successful. Let's switch back to the Windows PC. And let's get the CPS reading or writing. Still thinks it's COM9. Let's do device read. Yes, I'd like to do the thing I just asked you to do. Are we going to read this time? No, we can't read. Excellent. Chris, you said you might have an idea. What do you got, Chris? The radio realizes that it is attempting to be read from. Let's do device write. Why not? There's nothing in the radio that I care to save or lose. Oh, that's right. After a firmware update, you may have to do a factory reset. Let me do that real quick. If there's an easy way to do that. Go to port settings. Okay, keep going.
Cancel.
Is there no reset?
Cancel. Cancel.
Okay, there appears to be no reset. Oh, this time it's not connecting to the radio at all. Okay. Well, that's working great. Properties, port settings, driver, details, advanced. Let's change this over to COM1. All right, now it's set to COM1. We'll do what Matt suggests, unplug it and plug it back in also. It should come back in as COM1. It has come back in as COM1. Excellent. Run the software again. Don't make the changes while the software is live, because the software might not know that the world has changed out from underneath of it. Device, port, because again, only having one COM port, I still have to tell it which one out of the only choice available is the one to choose. Device, read. Make sure the radio is on. It is. Yes, I want to continue. The radio thinks it's being read from. The computer does not. Let's do a retry. Let's do a cancel. Let's try and write to it, because that didn't work the last time either. The radio didn't reboot after the read.
Frequency mode.
I'll try that, Chris. Edit the COM port in the software. COM1. Okay. Read. Try again. Radio thinks it's being read from. It is not being read from. Let's try writing. And I did it again.
Frequency mode.
Chris did a video on it 7 hours ago. Chris, I was sleeping. Yeah, the radio is not accepting the write command. It attempts to go into read mode and fails, and it doesn't attempt to go into write mode at all. Let's look for a reset procedure. Manual. Restarting the software and editing them. I did do that. What about restarting the computer? We can do that. Oh, 7 years ago. I thought you said 7 hours ago. You did say 7 hours ago. Your email. Why are you doing that to my email? That's crazy. Actually, before we do that, I might have another paper one. I'm not worried about my email getting out there. I just don't want another email in my email box. Check one of these other boxes here for a manual. Hey, look, there's a manual. That's a thick manual, too. Probably because it's multiple languages. Oh, it's very tiny writing. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Look how tiny that writing is. That's crazy. It's like a Bible. That's German. That's English. They tell you how to do a firmware update because they know you were going to need to do it right away. But what I need is factory reset, which is usually one of the last things. Can't power on the radio after update firmware. This problem should be update a wrong firmware. Please update the correct firmware again. I didn't do it right the first time. Yeah, the firmware did go over okay, so I'm thinking that the ports are fine. But I'm looking for a factory reset in this tiny Bible print manual. I might have an additional cable. We can try that after the factory reset. If there is a factory reset option. I'm not seeing it. Yeah, why would there not be a factory reset option? So 500,000 DMR contacts is what this thing has, if you can get it to have any. Weather channel, DTMF, caution, safety, interference, and then we're out of manual. Okay. So what happens if we do a different button? Hold menu and exit buttons, then turn the radio on. Thank you. That was Russ coming in clutch. Thank you, Russ. Menu and exit buttons. Turn it on. Would I like to reset VFO or all? I'm going to reset all. Initializing, waiting. Initialization, initializing, waiting. All right, we've done the reset. Let's get back over here to Windows. And then... why would the factory reset option not be in the owner's manual? That's crazy. Still COM1. Let's double check. There's no reason to suspect that it's not still COM1, but you know how these things go. Can't pin device manager to the start menu. Weird. It's still COM1. Okay. Let's try to read. The radio thinks it's being read from. The computer still can't read from it. Okay. Let's cancel that. Let's let the radio reset itself. Exit the software. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change radios and go straight to reading the next radio just to see if it's an overall problem or just a problem with this one. This one is still in the bag, and the bag looks like it might have been sealed or resealed. Hard to tell. This is also a GPS model. Battery plugged in. Screen protector's gone on this one. She powers up just fine. Screen looks good. Let's check the version on this. 213, it's already had its firmware upgraded. Okay. All right, let's do a read from radio. Radio thinks it's being read from, and the computer cannot read from the radio. All right, let's reboot the computer, just because. All right, K2 ICC is saying there's a Windows driver issue. So we'll try it one more time, and then we'll check out to see if there is a new Windows driver on the Retevis website. Okay. So it's still COM1. Let's try to read one more time, and then we'll see if there's a driver on the website. Okay. No read. Second radio. I'm going to put this radio back in the box so I don't get the two radios confused. All right, back to the first radio. The screen protector is back on it. Let's go to Retevis website. This is a native Windows machine running all by itself. It's actually a Geekom mini PC sitting on the desktop now. No, I don't want to do Windows updates still. Didn't want to do them last week. I don't want to do them this week. I like living on the edge. Download software. CH340 USB driver. I'm going to go with the obvious one that says USB driver. Which might not be the right one. Just run it because there's only one file in the archive. Oh, this time it's verified. Nice. Let's install it. Some kind of indication that something's happening, maybe? Driver install success. I mean, it shouldn't take that long to do, and this is a pretty powerful machine, so that was very slow. And I should have checked the version before and after the install. My mistake. All right, let's unplug it and plug it back in. Windows has successfully updated the driver. And my mouse has died as a result. Awesome. Well, that's useful. Okay. All right, we're rebooting the machine the hard way. I had to pull the power out and then turn it back on. Pull the power out, put the power back in, turn it back on. I know how you guys are. Yes, Windows actively hates us. 100% agreed. And it decided to do the updates even though I didn't want it to. More proof that Windows hates us. This is why I like running Windows 7 in a VM. There are no more updates for it, and it does all the ham software just fine because nobody makes any new ham software. How about 2 rounds of updates for us? Awesome. Nice. Keyboard still doesn't work. Well, that's not very useful. All right, I need to go get a keyboard. Okay, I have a second keyboard. We need to get rid of the first keyboard. And take out the wireless adapter for that one. Put in the wireless adapter for this one. Ah, now I have a keyboard. Awesome. Okay, let's share that screen out again. Let's change that to be the bigger one. It could just be the batteries in the keyboard went bad. Jeff, that Indian head test pattern would be on the screen 100% of the time. This whole show is... I should just name this show Technical Difficulties. Yes, remind me in 3 days, because I don't want any of this stuff today, and I certainly want to be reminded in 3 days that I still don't want any of it. All right, let's go in and check Device Manager. Do we have a COM port? This mouse is faster than the last mouse. Yes, we have a COM port. It is still COM1. Yes, if only this stuff ran in Linux, it would be awesome. All right, it still thinks it's COM1 in the software, so let's read. Is the radio on? Before we try to retry it, yes, the radio is on.
Frequency mode.
Read. Yes. Don't think it's going to work. Nothing there. Radio's stuck in read mode. Do I have the wrong CPS all this time? Because there is a GPS version of the CPS and a non-GPS version of the CPS. And this is the GPS version, which is the version that I need. Yeah, that's the next step, is to try another cable. We're trying to write. But the cable worked to do the firmware update. The radio successfully completed its firmware update. And it sees nothing about this. So we'll try another cable because we got nothing else to lose at this point. HD2 V102. Downgrade software to get it to work? None of this newfangled software stuff. Second programming cable. This programming cable doesn't have the zip tie on it. So I'm going to assume that the person who bought the second radio actually tried to use the thing. All right. Cable is plugged in. Do we have... Come on. Do we have a device manager entry? COM5. Okay, so it's found itself as something different. We're going to leave it at COM5 because switching it from COM9 to COM1 didn't seem to make any difference. But it didn't automatically pop up as COM1, so That's signs that there may be a new cable here, something different with this cable than the last one. Okay, cable's attached to the radio. Radio is turned on. We'll do the 1.0 software, and then we'll try the older version of the software after that. So Sean brings up an interesting point. Do these companies want to be stuck maintaining software or firmware for their radios? Most of these companies that you get the radios from do not make their own radios, which doesn't help these things. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Most of the Chinese companies that are making the radios have like 4 or 5 employees, and they're doing an amazing job for how small they are. Like Xiegu, for example, the software that you see when you look at the front panel of the radio is written by an external contractor, and they have like 7 employees, and all their 100% of what they do R&D in-house, and everything else is done through outsourcing. Let's change the port. Don't use COM1 unless you have a DB9 port. Okay, we will change that. This time it picked up the right port automatically. No, it didn't. COM1 in the bottom here. I was all excited for a second. COM1 in the bottom status bar is where it was left last time. COM5 being the only choice available. And Chris says actually type in COM5. So we'll actually type it in. We'll hit OK. And then we will try to read from the radio. Yes. The radio believes it's being read from. And it is not being read from. Restart the radio, change out the CPS. Morning, Strick. Or Saint Rick. However you pronounce your YouTube handle there. There we go. And we have HD2 version 1.10. Let's do HD2 version 1.02. Use different USB socket on PC. I actually did do that this time, Chris. But that's a very good idea, which is probably why it came up as COM5 instead of COM1 again. For some reason, when you put the same device into a different USB port, you get a completely different driver interface for it. HD2 firmware. There it is, 102. Let's uninstall the old one first. There is another program we can try, but it's on Linux. It's called QDMR. Unwise. It says it's unwise to install this. It's actually, Wise is the name of the installer package, and Unwise would be the uninstaller for the Wise installer package. Yes, I want to remove everything. All right, let's do... Yeah, it's fun with a capital F, Maxi. This radio is an HD2, according to all the information that I have. Ooh, stereo effects on the music. Oh, this is even better. Language. It's not English by default. Let's set it to English. Device, port, COM5. All right, radio's on. Read from radio. Go for it. Radio thinks it's being read from, and the computer can't read from it. Nice. Interesting. HD2, we're on firmware 213. HD
Frequency mode.
radio rebooted itself. Interesting. HD2 firmware, HD2 firmware, HD2 firmware. Yeah, they could do a better job with this download page. All right, this is the GPS model for sure.
Frequency mode.
And we have version 213 installed because we did the update. We did the factory reset. We tried to read. Let's see if QDMR thinks it can support this radio, and we'll try it. If it does. Retevis HD2 is not supported. Okay, well, it was a thought. But a DMR radio that can't be programmed by programming software is a brick. Let's go all the way back as far as we can with firmware, which looks like 206. Is this the fun part of amateur radio? It depends on what you enjoy doing. I like repairing radios and figuring stuff out. There's a certain amount of satisfaction that comes from making it work. Like this thing didn't work and I figured it out and whoever had it before me couldn't, so maybe. Thanks, Lee. Lee with the $5 super chat. Much appreciated. Yes, I'd like to run the only file that's in here. Windows has protected me again. Thank you, Windows. I'm so much safer now that I can't do the job that I'm setting forth to do. Other TO, Tortoise Overland, wants to know where I sell my repaired radios. They are on... There's a link in the description for the for sale page. The for sale page is on my website. You can email me direct for details. And then after a while, if nobody ever buys them off of that for sale page, I do a live stream like this to get them all teched out. Then I stick them on eBay for no reserve price and get them out the door. So last week's HA1G radio, nobody bought them for a week. And then Run Software's Administrator. Let's do that before we do the firmware update. Let's see. So I've already sold 2 of those on eBay. And whoever bought them on eBay paid more for them than they would have paid for them on stream. So it kind of works out. These ones are going to be a little bit of trouble, though, because I think I'm just going to have to toss them. Because if you can't program them with CPS, why is this taking forever to launch? This is not that difficult of software. Oh, it's complaining somewhere. Okay, this is running it as administrator, and it's changed its language back. English, device, port. COM5 is still the right port. Let's read. The radio thinks it's being read from, and it is not. Do I have a computer that runs Windows 10? No, I do not. Yes, I now know 1,000 ways to not fix this radio. Okay, so let's turn the radio off, and then I think it's the top 2 keys, and turn the radio on, and it goes into DFU mode. So we hit connect, and then we get version. Please click get version. Yes, 213 is newer. We're putting on 206. Update it with 206. And we are updating. So it's fully able to use this cable and do a firmware update on this radio through this serial port on this computer. So like everything works except for the software. This is probably more a software problem than it is a radio problem. Atlas OS. Can it run the Windows CPS software? Ben Deleted says he had the same problem on Windows 10. I mean, I would definitely return this radio if it could not be programmed by a CPS. Because otherwise you overpaid for a pretty crappy analog radio that has DMR features you can't use. Morning, Dave. The radio does transmit. Atlas is Windows without all the telemetry. It's like Windows Slimmers on steroids. Nice. All right, I'm going to have to play with that. There's also Windows 11. I typed it on the wrong computer. Windows 11 IoT, Internet of Things, which is supposed to be a very small Windows 11 version that's directly supported by Microsoft. And then there's Tiny 11. And then there's Titus Tech, who has a script that's going to take Windows and shrink it down. I like it. The screen on Atlas website when you download it says F***K Windows. Great. All right, the radio thinks it has been updated successfully. So we'll say OK to that. We'll get the version. It says it's now 206 according to the software. We will disconnect. Close this out. Switch over here to the top view. Thank you, Colin. Colin has in some software for me to try. Rebooting the radio, checking the version, 206 GPS, perfect. And then we'll do the firmware factory reset option. I didn't hold those down long enough, I don't think. I did not hold them down long enough. Reset all. Oh, he's got new software. Awesome. All right, Colin, we'll give that a try. There we go. Chris Bricker is wondering what is broken. Right now, this thing will not run the programming software, but so far everything works. It'll transmit and receive on FM analog. It will transmit on DMR, but I can't get it to pick the right DMR talk group, and it's not connecting to my hotspot for some reason. So we just downgraded the CPS software and we downgraded the firmware to see if that will fix it, and that won't fix it. So now we'll try the software that Colin has sent over. And that download page that he sent over is a little harder to find. See, the radio fully believes that it has communicated with the PC software and has received some type of update. Is that going to work? That didn't work because I didn't do all the right caps. There we go. All right, so 114 is the latest programming software. They spelled their own name wrong, but put an extra C on it. Let's go in and remove the other software. I did that. I hit the wrong key on the keyboard. Oh, I didn't want Outlook. I wanted device thing. All right, we can get rid of the firmware installer. And I always seem to get like 1 pixel off of the button. This is like the 30th time this morning I've been 1 pixel off on the button. Yes, please ask me 5 times if I'd like to do the thing that I asked you to do. All right, software has been uninstalled. Outlook, go away. Just run it because it's only 1 file. It won't be a problem. More info, run anyway. They were in a hurry on the website and then never went back to fix it. All right, device, port. COM5. Radio still on. Read. Read from radio. This immediately failed. Okay, there we go. Now the radio thinks it's being read from, but the computer still does not. All right, let's do the firmware update that is on the Ilance website instead of the Retevis website. And it is 213 GPS, which is the one we already put on there, but we'll try it anyway. The radio's rebooted itself. Chris, I have no choice but to keep a spare Windows machine laying around, but this machine is dual boot. All right, so let's turn the radio off. Top 2 keys. And we're in DFU mode. Let's connect. Let's check the version. It should say 206. It says 206. Let's update it to 213. Mr. Zindos is asking, is the programming cable okay? Yes, this is programming cable number 2, and this is successful firmware update number 3. Listen to some groovy music. So Lazo's saying it's the CH341 chipset. I have run lots of CH341 chipsets, 34X, 341, 342, 343, and they've all been okay until today. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying my experience is that they've been acceptable enough. And Colin's saying might as well do the driver. I've done the driver, but we can do the driver again. Thinking it might be different on the Ilance website than on the sister website by Retevis. $3 a.m. Get some sleep, Colin. You can be on team replay when you wake up. All right, update was successful. So let's... Will it still connect? It will still connect. Get the version. It says it's 213 on the screen. Okay. Let's go back to the overhead. Let's turn it off. Back on.
Frequency mode. Menu.
And it says 213 GPS. Okay, turn it off. For good measure, let's do a factory reset.
Frequency mode.
And let's reset all. And we are doing a factory reset. And let's switch back over to the computer screen. And that's the firmware upgrade. Why would I need a firmware upgrade icon on my desktop? I think I uninstalled the CPS also, didn't I? Ah, no, it's not the firmware upgrade icon. That's the CPS icon that I was staring at. All right. Did the port change at all? COM5 still. Radio thinks it's being read from, and we're reading! Woo! Thank you, Colin. You had it right. There we go. Awesome. Yeah, about time. We're an hour and a half into the stream, and we've got the ability to read from the radio finally. What a mess. Have I mentioned how much I love DMR? Windows comes through again. Yes, this was definitely Windows that solved this problem. Caleb, you're on Team Fix. Chris, this is not a Nuggets episode because this would take until midnight local time. And I don't stay up late like Colin does. And I want to get all of these done and get them listed for sale and get them out of my life. Ben, I have a video on this that's a static video that showed how it worked before. So it'll go through all of the stuff a lot faster for you. But just use the latest versions off of the Ilance website. But as a new user, out-of-box experience with this radio is lousy. You should be able to turn it on, program in your DMR ID, enter in a talk group, and start talking. This is taking forever to read from this radio. Charlie, I would try, if it's not going to read from OpenGD77 anymore, I would try and flash it back to stock, do all the updates and everything, verify that it works there, and then flash it back to GD77. If it doesn't work there, then let them know over at the GD77 group that there's a problem. But like, make sure, what I'm saying is make sure it's not your problem that you can't fix on your own before, I don't know why I did a read and then rebooted the radio. Oh, you can set the region right here. You don't need to do it from the front of the radio. That's an easy fix. If you can get this far into the software, yeah. Basic setting. Basic information. Okay, it's the 213 version. Setting. Password 313233 for reading. It's not enabled, but that's the default password if you guys ever run into that. Noise tail elimination mode. That's awesome. Somebody was asking me about this the other day. It's the squelch tail that the repeater sends out, and apparently Baofeng radios send out a different tone than every other radio on the planet. Okay. There's things off the bottom of the screen. Okay. I'm looking to, like, the first thing it should ask you, like, it should walk you through, like, wizard style. Like, what is your DMR ID? What talk groups would you like to talk on? You know, it should walk you through building a code plug. But again, this is meant for business where this person, it's their only job. They do it once and then they clone radios over and over again. All right, radio ID. There's my radio ID, and you can have tons of them. There's my radio ID. Okay. Did it save it? Was it that easy? Just type it and you're good? Yep. Okay. Channel mode. All right, so VFOA is going to be for, let me get my DMR hotspot thing. $431,150. And transmit frequency is going to be 431,150 also. And it is a digital channel, but my choices are digital or analog, as you'd expect. High power is fine. Everything else is fine. It's fine, okay? It's fine. Zone information. I don't think I need any zones. VFO scan, fine. DTMF, fine. I don't know why there's a bunch of different settings here. 8750. Put that on 431,150. Contacts. Priority contacts. Group call. Call 1. And I believe we'll do it both ways. Because I forget which way paired is. Paired is not the way you think it is. Because it is a group, but I think you talk to it individually and it responds. And the tab key doesn't let you tab over to new fields. Parrot P for private. Okay. So that's contact number 1 and contact number 2. This ID already exists. Please reset it. What ID already exists? Oh, really? Okay. Well, you can't do that. That's stupid. Why can't I have 2 IDs and one is private, one is group? Fine. Address book contacts. Call type. Contact alias. Why am I unable to do anything here? Yeah, try DMR, they say. It's easy, they say. RX group lists. I have none available. DMR service. Encryption. Oh, look at those encryption keys. Awesome. Above the list, it says read and write contacts. Yeah, that's probably from the database. Read contacts. Read data from radio. No, I already did read the data from the radio. Yeah, so I have my priority contact in there for Parrot as a group call. And we will try it. We'll see what happens. Let's write to the radio. After all that, can we actually write to the radio? This is not a tutorial on how to make a code plug. I agree, Mr. Zindos. Writing is much faster than reading. Wow. Oh, and then as I said it slowed down. DMR gives me a headache too, Dave. This is what the DMR guy gets paid to do all day long. Watch radios read and write over serial speeds. Like it's 1991. USB-A became popular in 1995 with Windows 95. That's always my benchmark. And here we are, 2025, 30 years later. Still running serial port speeds to program radios. Hooray, progress. Yes, 30 years later, Windows still sucks. Peak Windows, Windows 7. Windows XP was good too. Right, okay. And the radio has rebooted itself. Excellent. All right. Let's see. All right, so we're on DMR 431. It did have the right frequency in there, and then I changed it, I believe. Because I tried to wake the screen up. There's no, like, easy way to wake the screen up. How'd your firmware upgrade go, Matt? Did it all work? All right, it transmitted on Parrot. And I don't know if you guys can see the lights flickering, but it's definitely doing some DMR transmitting. Awesome, Matt. 431 150. 431 150. Why is my hotspot not picking it up? I haven't turned on a DMR radio in forever. Windows 1.0. How about Windows 286? All right, so that radio works. Let me show you the screen share. All right, so there is the screen share. This is the GD88 from Radioddity. Let's turn it on, PTT. And it did. It did, I promise. See, it says down here, private call to Jim. There we go. I don't know, did that mess up the music? That happened at the exact same time. The music went all staticky. So this radio here, the Radioddity GD88, is transmitting just fine. So it's time slot 1. And the DMR hotspot is time slot 2. That's why.
Menu.
So let's switch this over.
Cancel.
So on the screen, you can see TS1, and on the computer screen, it said time slot 2. So I need to switch this over to time slot 2. DMR slot 2, confirm.
Cancel.
Did it take?
Channel mode.
It did not take.
Frequency
No, it did
mode.
take. It says, let's move it over to the big screen. It said TS2 on the screen right there. 431150 is the right frequency. Time slot 2. Now I got to see if there's a color code issue.
Menu.
Color code. Color code 0, and color code should be 1.
Confirm. Channel mode. Frequency mode.
Ah, it works. Pixels? No, I don't. Disconnect the programming cable is a good idea now that we've got it all working. But it transmitted. I got it to work. So check this out. KM9G testing parrot. KM9G testing parrot. 1 2 3 4 4 3 2 1. And this might be programmed in the wrong way.
KM9G testing parrot. KM9G testing parrot. 1 2 3 4 4 3 2 1.
Oh, plosives. That's how they get you. Okay. So that has worked successfully. Awesome. One good radio. Hour and 45 minutes. I think it might be a record. Let's switch over. Let's put this one up here. Let's come over here and switch this to HDMI. All right, I am going to save this programming file after I fix the radio. Wrong mouse. Basic information, setting, key setting, one call, ID setting, channel. But is there no place to set the color code in the software? Oh, joy. Decode QT, DQT, whatever that is. Bandwidth, channel alias, more. There's a more button. There it is. Okay. Let's see. So I need slot 2. And I need color code 1. Okay. So now we can put the programming cable back on and write it to the radio. I guess I don't really need to do that. We'll do it with the next radio. But I do need to save this. And we'll do like all good hams do when you reach a certain age, and you save it to your desktop. Okay, excellent. So now let's switch this over to the overhead view. All right, so we have upgraded the firmware. We have tested it on analog, transmit and receive. We tested it on DMR, transmit and receive. We've run 2 different programming cables through it. It has worked on both programming cables. I guess what I need to do next is verify that it connects to its lovely headset. I can't imagine needing DMR in my life enough to need a Bluetooth headset to go with it. Let's get this cable wrapped up and in the box. Mark, you are absolutely correct. Untitled 43. Bluetooth headset, yay. Okay, power on. No power. It's USB-C. That's a head start. I thought I just dropped that cable. Maybe I did not. Oh, I didn't. It's still plugged into the Pi. All right. The Bluetooth headset is not showing any signs of life, but I don't know what signs of life would look like if it did. Again, circa 1990 with the Bluetooth headset. Bill, what frequency are you on? Oh, you're hunting POTA. Are you hunting POTA through FT8? Is it USB-C in name only? And it really needs USB-A? I hate it when they do that. It's a USB-C shaped connector. But it's really USB-A. And yes, I did plug it in wrong the first time when I plugged it in over there. Hey, there we go. Yep. It is now lit up red that it's charging.
Menu. Confirm.
I have no idea whether that's on or not.
Confirm. Confirm. Cancel. Cancel.
You have the same Arcfeld flashlight in orange? Awesome. I thought you had the one that had the black light. So I've got the green laser, I've got the black light. I don't have the black light, and I have the regular. How does that show up on camera? Ooh, good. That's good enough. I'm not going to destroy my camera lens. My camera eye. Yeah, the Arcfeld's a good EDC flashlight, and that battery lasts forever. I want to say months, and I use it plenty of times. Okay. So that's the power on-off button. Okay. This Bluetooth headset will not turn on. right, we'll leave that charge. Maybe we'll come back to it. Maybe we'll forget. Okay, so let's turn that off because I still need to take these things outside and see if GPS is a thing. Now that I just turned it off, let's see one more time while we're in here.
Frequency mode. Menu.
Error, satellite unlock. Error, list empty.
Cancel. Cancel. Channel mode.
Okay. We'll put this one back in the box along with all of its goodies. So programming cable, charger, belt clip, dock, replacement earpiece. We're leaving the headset charging. That is going in there. That can go in there. That can go there. That can go there. All right. So radio number 1 is 95% done. Radio number 2 and its box of fun. We did steal radio number 2's programming cable, so that's right here. We have a radio. We have a battery. We know it works. The battery, we know the battery works. We have an owner's manual in this case. We didn't before. We have a lanyard. We didn't have a lanyard in the last one. USB cable, belt clip, another headset, charging brick. I think this is the twist tie that came with the programming cable. And a charging base and that. So missing a manual and a lanyard from the first box. But otherwise, this one looks to be in pretty good nick. Yes, hopefully it's just copy and paste. Hopefully it goes faster. We're now at 154 on the stream. Oh, this one's been used. The beep's been turned off. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Yep, so it has received on the other radio. Testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. Yep. Yep. All right, so we're transmitting and we're receiving analog. Excellent. Radio ID. They never programmed a radio ID in it. There we go. Contacts, contacts. Never programmed in a contact. Okay, let's see. What firmware version are we on? 213 GPS. I think that's the newest one, isn't it? What was that error? Runtime error, permission denied. Okay, thank you. Yeah, 213 GPS, but we're going to do the firmware update anyway, probably. Foreshadowing. Okay, so we've got it over here. We'll try to program it. First rule, yes, exactly, Chris. First rule is we don't talk about the flashlight. All right, it showed up as COM1 when we plugged it in. Good. Let's go into the CPS. So we're trying the new CPS on the untouched radio. We tried the old CPS on the untouched radio as well, and it did not work. Device port. Is it COM1? Yeah, this is the port that we changed. I changed USB ports. The radio thinks it's being read from. The radio is being read from. Awesome. This is a much better out-of-box experience. So it was the wrong software all along, because I have not upgraded the firmware on this. This is going much better than the last time. Mr. Zindos, yes, every DMR radio I sell goes to someone I dislike. Unless you buy it, because I like you. But everybody else that buys one of these DMR radios, I dislike them. All of them have all the digital radio modes have their drawbacks. Like All-Star has really good audio quality, but it's slightly harder to set up the hotspot for All-Star. But that's because, again, we're translating something that wasn't supposed to be ham radio into the ham radio domain. It was supposed to be a private branch exchange phone system. Let's see if he passes the test, Mark. Extremely slow to read from the radio. All right, the radio has been read from, and it has reset itself for no apparent reason, because reading seems to be destructive. We're going to open our programming file, and then we're going to write it to the radio. All right, Chris has passed the test. Now Mark and Chris are just echoing each other in the chat. See what I did there? Man, this thing is slow to write. The first 40% is fast, and then the remaining 60% is very slow. Morning, Andy. Welcome. All right.
Frequency mode.
Radio has been written to and has rebooted itself. Okay, let's switch the... Can I do it from here? Not with that mouse, I can't. I guess it's already on the screen in the corner there. All right, 431150, time slot 2, DMR. And then you can see right above my head here, it should light up. It does light up. G testing parrot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we wait.
Light up. It does light up. KM9G testing parrot 1234 4321.
Cleaned up a little bit towards the end. I'm going to blame that on the hotspot. KM9G testing parrot. Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing parrot. 1234 4321.
KM9G testing parrot. Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing parrot. 1234 4321.
Okay, awesome. So she's working. Let's see
Channel mode. Frequency menu.
if we got GPS enabled yet. No satellites. Have to get outside.
Cancel. Cancel. Menu.
The beeps are back.
Confirm.
Is my headset charged up enough yet to do anything with? Pushing the power button does nothing. Holding the power button does nothing.
Confirm.
And we have not reconnected to it yet. Okay. Let's take this off, and I will let that Bluetooth headset charge up. And we're moving right along to radio number 3. So this one had a much better out-of-box experience than the last one did. So all of that nonsense from the first go-round was the bad software, wrong software. How far can you get from your RV and still allow DMR to work? I have no idea. I actually have been RVing for a couple of years now, and I finally just set up the hotspot not that long ago. And today is the first day I've actually made a contact on it. So what do you guys think about the unboxed, the unboxed, the new unboxed radios? That's what I was trying to say. Should we do something with them? Should we not do something with them? Should we leave them in their shrink wrap? And I think we should leave them in their shrink wrap and let it be a Retevis warranty issue. Where is... There it is. Okay. The packaging is probably the nicest packaging I've seen for a ham radio. I think we're going to do a live stream net. Well, I know we're going to do it, but I'm not sure if we're going to do it Monday, as in 2 days from now, Monday, or if we're going to do it 2 weeks from Monday. Okay, so the only thing missing on this one here is Bluetooth testing as well. All right, this is the last one, number 3. Unopened packaging. Yeah, they probably bought the radio and then saw the YouTube reviews and then returned it. This one still has its screen protector on. The last one did not. This one might have 2 manuals. It looks like it has 2 manuals. Excellent. It does have 2 manuals. So now we have the missing manual for radio number 1. Put that over there. Manual. Programming cable. Charger. Charging base. USB cable. Bluetooth headset and accessories. Belt clip. So all we're missing from radio number 1 now is the lanyard. But otherwise, everything is there. All the important stuff is there. Yes, I just called the lanyard unimportant. All right, toss that out. Turn her on. frequency mode.
14652
Okay. And 1970-0101, that's the epic, is what it believes its time is. Oh, this one's locked. The last one wasn't locked. Somebody had unlocked it. So you can unlock this from the CPS, which we learned. So let's do that, because then we can get everything done at once. Oh, geez, that one's tight. But they come from the factory locked. And we've had one radio that was successfully used. So I will include a note with the new one that says, please unlock it. It's very easy to unlock. You can do it with the CPS software, which you can get on their website. eBay won't let you include links, so you have to go look it up yourself. Or run the magic keystroke if it's locked. Plug that in up there. Let's switch to the HDMI. Let's do some housekeeping on my side. There we go. Now I can see it too. Okay, we don't need that. We need the software for programming. We're on COM 5. Good. Because I plugged into the other USB port. So Chris is asking who uses the lanyard, and I have kind of a love-hate relationship with the lanyards. I was out at activation once, and I forgot to bring a way to tie my antenna to the top of my mast. And so I actually ripped the lanyard off of, well, I very gently and carefully removed the lanyard from the radio and used that as my spare cordage to get the antenna up and get the activation completed. All right, so we need to read. Yes, I want to read. And that's not going to work because the radio was turned off. Don't get excited. This could still be something simple.
Frequency mode.
All right, radio is now turned on. It's going to be very helpful in the reading process to have the radio on. Ah, not working. Okay, I hit retry. And the radio thought it's being read from, but it is not. We know how to fix this, I believe. I hope. I cross my fingers. All right, so now let's look on the start menu. Did it install a start menu program?
Frequency mode.
It did not. All right, radio's off. Top two buttons, turn radio on. It's in DFU mode. We're good to go there. iLens firmware with the GPS. And we're going to run it. More info. Run anyway. Yes, Tom, we did. We got it working. We're now on radio number 3. Connect. We've connected. Get the version. Version 207. So let's update it to 213. And come on, give me a little progress. There we go. It is working. Okay. See, this is my other radio, and it still has the lanyard on it. I don't think the Vero radio that I carry with me all the time had a lanyard from the factory, so it never got installed. Yes, elevator music time. See you later, Mark. Have a good day. I do find it interesting that the radio does not need to reboot in order to have the new firmware actualized, but we reboot it anyway because I don't have any choice in order to use the radio. So let's connect to it again. Let's get version. It's 207 now. It should be 213. It is 213 indeed. So we can close this software out. We can close this window out. We can close that out. Turn it on.
Frequency mode.
All right, let's do version.
Menu.
213 GPS. So she's good. All right, she's on COM5. Let's run the software. Let's read. And we're reading. Awesome. So that's what it was. Jesse, we can start over. At the bottom of the video window, there's a little red bar. Drag that all the way back to the left, and you'll be good to go. You will warp time for all of us. You will restart, and I will say everything exactly 100% the same way I said it the first time. It's like you didn't miss anything at all. Russ says quarter-mile line of sight on both the hotspot and the radio, and the hotspot had both radio and hotspot had upgraded antennas. The hotspots might get overloaded with a better antenna, so you might wind up getting some signal degradation if you're too close. Anyone know the correct SD2933 idling current for AB class? Yes. Colin says ignore the first hour. Colin, you're still here? Reading from the radio. And I've been taught that it's always good practice to read from the radio first, no matter what. And then go back and do it differently. Dave wants to know what I'm going to start doing multi-hour streams on the other channel. The other channel is the RV channel. Living for a Living is the name of the channel. And I haven't done a live stream on there at all. But if you want to be a guest, we can get on and talk RV nonsense. Why am I trying to do that? All right. So I'm going to load in my software, my code plug, and then I'm going to write it to the radio. Yeah, so read first, then load from disk, then write from disk to radio. And I guess the read first is probably just to make sure that everything's connected properly before you attempt to write to your radio and something's pooched in your connection setup. Rich S39, yes, read and save the original configuration on a drive. Exactly. That's a good idea. However, if you are like on iteration number 3, then you already have your configuration saved from the last time you saved it to disk. You did save it to disk when you wrote it, when you created it the first time, right? Dave, you know how to get in touch with me. Be something interesting to do. "5:30 a.m. playing radio." Wow. 5:30 a.m. is when I wake up in the morning, not when I go to bed. I can't sleep during the day. Too much noise, too much distraction. Yeah, Jesse, it does take a long time. It takes a long time to read and to write. Way longer than it should. When you rewatch, you'll hear us rant about that. Probably at the hour and 50-minute mark. All right, the right is okay. And let's switch back over to the overhead on the radio. And let's take the mic off. And let's see, where are we? That doesn't look like it wrote to the radio.
Menu.
Okay, it wrote that.
Cancel.
But the frequency was not correct.
Menu.
It got my contact right.
Cancel.
So I think the time slot is wrong. Let's double check that with the software. Although it would be faster to fix it manually in the radio. I still need to make sure it worked right. So we know it wrote because it wrote my radio ID out to the radio. But I'm just going to double check first principles all the way up. But it had the contact in it. Basic setting, frequency set, region 2. So it saved that in the code plug, because that was why we did this in the first place, was to reset that, because it was locked to the wrong region. ID is correct. BFOA. Maybe when I fix this, I didn't save it. I could have sworn I saved it. Color code 1, yes. Time slot 2, yes. And VFO is 431,150. Yes, all that is correct. All right, let's watch it right to the radio again. I don't know if Retevis has a trade-in program. I know Radiodity does. Jesse, I bet it is reading and writing the 500,000 contact list that is completely empty every single time. Most radios do that. And they write out empty records. Again, because it's 1990 and we haven't figured out how to do a better job. To me, there's no reason why these radios can't have an ESP32, which comes with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi baked in from the factory as their brains, instead of some old PIC microcontroller with limited amounts of RAM. Cost? Yeah, we don't want to make new products and sell like mad. Apple's proven that whole like make a new product with new features every other year thing, nobody wants that. That doesn't work. That was sarcasm. Sometimes my sarcasm's a little hard for little dry. All right.
Frequency mode.
Switch her back. All right. We have the right frequency. We have the right time slot. Check the screen above my head. Let's try a test. Well, first let's yank the microphone, the programming cable off. KM9G testing parrot 1234 4321. Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing parrot 1234 4321. All right, so that went up. You could see it light up red above me.
KM9G testing parrot 1234 4321. Kilo Mike 9 Golf testing parrot 1234 4321.
All right, perfect. That worked. It actually sounded better than the last radio, but it could have been how I was holding the radio. So this one is good to go as well. Do we have Bluetooth yet? No Bluetooth yet. Okay. Let's do a power output test with my Shorecom SW102. Yeah, the ESP32 is like $3 for a 3-pack in human quantities, not in manufacturer quantities. So I would assume, when I buy 1,000 of them or 1,000,000 of them, I get a quantity discount. All right, power on. Let's get this out of DMR mode. FM mode. This is 70 centimeters, high power. 10 watts. Holy moly. And let's do...
4, 6. Cancel 1, 4, 6, 5, 2, 0.
This is 2 meters, high power. 3 watts. Okay, awesome. Just like the last one. You'll never need more than 14 channels in your TH25, Tom. Okay, I'm going to try the Bluetooth headset that came in this box here. I'm turning off my power meter and see if that works any better. Menu. All right, that's ready for rebinding. Oh, we got a blue light on this one. Excellent. We are one step ahead. And that blue light just went off. Why did you go off? No, it's still on. Okay. It's just a slow blink. Oh, because it's already connected. Awesome. It connected automatically. KM9G testing parrot. KM9G testing parrot. And I'm not testing parrot. I'm on 5.2. All right. Let's switch that back. 4, 3, 1, 1, 5, 0. Back to DMR mode. KM9G testing parrot. KM9G testing parrot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm getting parrot back. But I don't know if you guys heard that or not. I can't hear it because I've got my headset in. Rich is asking if I'm going to make it something other than a blog entry. No, because if I do that, then you've got to pay taxes potentially, and I've got to pay taxes potentially. And this is secondhand merch. There's a soft push to talk, and then there's a hard push to talk button. Okay, so this Bluetooth headset is working, and the other Bluetooth headset appears to not be working. So I think that's a wrap on this one. Turn that off, turn that off. So what do you guys think? We got these radios all working. They did the thing, and this is my power cord for my laptop. Now it's over here. And they are ready for sale. If you would like one of these, reach out to me or check the for sale list. The for sale list is linked in the description down below. You can reach out to me by email, temporarylyoffline@gmail.com, and we will get you all squared away. And if I don't hear from anybody by the end of today, then these things are going on eBay for sale, and they'll have no reserve, and you'll probably wind up paying a little bit more. And then eBay also has a fee that they take out of it. So you pay more, I get less. Nobody's happy. But thanks for hanging around with me. You guys have been awesome. And we will see you tomorrow morning for Ham Church, and we'll see you Monday night for Ham Nuggets, and it's the first Monday Q&A. So make sure you get your questions filled out. You can go to the last first Monday live stream, and you can find the questionnaire so you can put in your questions. We'll see y'all later. I'm hitting the button. You guys have been amazing. Thank you. Thanks for being awesome.